5,000 men. 5,000 of the most elite soldiers on Earth. Men who had fought across 3 continents. Men who had held the line against armies 10 times their size. Men who had never once broken formation. Never once abandoned their eagle. Never once failed Rome. They marched north into the mist of Caledonia, into the dark forests of what is now Scotland, into a land that Rome had never truly conquered. And they never came back. No survivors, no bodies, no eagle, no explanation, just silence. The most powerful military force in the history of the ancient world sent 5,000 of its finest soldiers into that forest. And the forest swallowed them whole. Rome never spoke of it again. The records were destroyed, the names were erased. The legion itself was struck from the official military rolls as if it had never existed. As if 5,000 men had simply never been born. This is the story of the 9th Legion. The story Rome tried to bury deeper than any grave. But tonight, you are going to hear every word of it. Welcome to Unheard History. Before we go any further, I need you to understand exactly what kind of soldiers we are talking about. Because this is not a story about a ragtag group of conscripts who got lost in the woods. This is a story about the Legio IX Hispana, the 9th Legion, one of the oldest and most battle-hardened units in the entire Roman military. They had fought in the Gallic Wars under Julius Caesar himself. They had served in Africa, in the Balkans, in Judea during the Jewish Revolt. They had marched through deserts and mountains and frozen rivers and come out the other side with their eagle held high. They were sent to Britain in 43 AD under Emperor Claudius during the initial Roman invasion, and for decades they held the northern frontier of Roman Britain, fighting the tribes of Caledonia, pushing the boundary of the empire further north into territory that no Roman army had ever successfully held. They built fortresses, they built roads, they bled and fought and died and replaced their dead with fresh soldiers. And then somewhere between 108 AD and 120 AD, they simply ceased to exist. No battle record, no formal disbandment, no transfer orders, no mass grave ever found, no final communication. Just an absence in the records where 5,000 living, breathing fighting men used to be. And the most powerful empire on Earth refused to explain what happened to them. That silence is what keeps historians awake at night. That silence is what we are going to break tonight. To understand what happened to the 9th Legion, you first need to understand the world they were operating in. Not the Rome of marble columns and golden palaces. The other Rome. The Rome of mud and blood and freezing rain at the edge of the known world. Britannia. Rome invaded Britain in 43 AD under Emperor Claudius. The initial invasion was swift and overwhelming. 4 legions crossed the Channel. The native tribes of southern Britain were defeated in a series of battles. A client kingdom was established. Roman roads began to cut through the island. Roman forts began to rise from the earth. Rome congratulated itself on another successful conquest. But Britain was not Gaul. Britain was not Spain. Britain was something else entirely. The further north the Romans pushed, the stranger and more dangerous the land became. Southern Britain was green and fertile and relatively easy to control. But the north was different. The Romans called it Caledonia, what we now call Scotland, and Caledonia was a nightmare. Dense, ancient forests so thick that sunlight barely reached the ground. Vast mountain ranges that swallowed entire armies in their passes. freezing rivers and bogs that could drag a fully armored soldier beneath the surface in minutes. And the people, the Caledonians, later known as the Picts. These were not the relatively organized tribes of southern Britain. These were something wilder, something older. Warriors who painted their bodies in deep blue woad. Warriors who knew every tree, every bog, every hidden path in that ancient forest. Warriors who had no cities to defend, no supply lines to cut, no infrastructure to threaten. They could simply disappear into the forest and reappear somewhere else entirely. Fighting a conventional army with unconventional ferocity, striking from the shadows, vanishing before Rome could respond. The Roman historian Tacitus described the Caledonians as people who lived in terror and pride. Terror of Roman power, pride in their freedom, a combination that made them the most dangerous enemy Rome ever faced on that island.
The Romans tried everything. Governor Gnaeus Julius Agricola launched a major campaign into Caledonia in 83 AD. He claimed a great victory at the Battle of Mons Gropius. He wrote home to Rome, describing the Caledonians broken and scattered, describing Caledonia as essentially pacified. But Agricola was recalled to Rome almost immediately after. And the moment the Roman pressure lifted, the Caledonians came back, stronger than before, angrier than before, and with a very specific target in mind: the soldiers guarding the northern frontier, the soldiers of the 9th Legion. By the early 2nd century AD, the situation in northern Britain had deteriorated dramatically. The Caledonians were not just raiding. They were coordinating. Multiple tribes that had spent centuries fighting each other were now fighting together, under a single purpose: drive Rome out of Caledonia, drive Rome out of the north, drive Rome off their island entirely. The pressure on the northern frontier was immense. Roman forts were being attacked with increasing frequency. Supply lines were being cut. Roman patrols were disappearing. Soldiers were being found dead, miles from their posts, with no indication of who had killed them or how. And the 9th Legion, stationed at Eboracum, the fortress city we now call York, was tasked with maintaining order in this increasingly violent and increasingly mysterious landscape. Then, in approximately 108 to 110 AD, something happened. Something significant enough that the Roman military command in Britain sent the 9th Legion north. Not a patrol, not a scouting mission. The entire legion, 5,000 men. Full marching order, eagles raised, drums beating, into the forests of Caledonia. The historical record tells us they left. The historical record does not tell us what happened next, because there is no next. After that march north, the 9th Legion simply stops appearing in any Roman record, anywhere, ever again. What happened in those forests? Historians have debated this question for centuries. There are several theories. The most comfortable theory, the one that Roman military historians preferred, was that the 9th Legion was simply transferred, moved to another province, perhaps to the Rhine frontier in Germania, perhaps to the east, perhaps to North Africa. This theory is comforting because it means nothing catastrophic happened. 5,000 men simply moved to a different posting. Administrative paperwork was lost. Records were incomplete. Nothing to see here. But there are problems with this theory. Significant problems. Because when archaeologists and historians have searched the records of every other Roman province for any trace of the 9th Legion after approximately 120 AD, they find nothing. No building inscriptions, no gravestones, no pay records, no battle records, No mentions in any document from any corner of the empire. A legion of 5,000 men does not simply vanish from the administrative record of the most bureaucratically efficient empire in the ancient world without leaving a single trace. Unless someone made sure they left no trace. Unless someone deliberately erased them. Now stop, because I need you to consider something. Rome was the most document-obsessed civilization in the ancient world. They recorded everything, every soldier's name, every posting, every transfer, every death, every pension payment, every building project completed by every unit in every province. The Roman military machine generated paperwork the way modern governments generate emails. Constantly, obsessively, permanently. And yet the 9th Legion, one of Rome's oldest and most distinguished military units, disappears from the record completely. Not gradually, not partially, completely. One day they exist, the next day they don't. And Rome never officially explained what happened to them. No triumph celebrated for a victory they won. No memorial erected for soldiers who fell. No official record of disbandment. No pension payments to veterans. Nothing. Now ask yourself one question. Why would Rome erase an entire legion from its own records? There is only one answer that makes sense. Because what happened to the 9th Legion was so catastrophic, so humiliating, so devastating to the myth of Roman invincibility, that Rome decided it was better to pretend those 5,000 men never existed than to admit what the forests of Caledonia had done to them. Stay with me, because what happened in those forests is about to change everything you thought you knew about the limits of Roman power. The most credible theory among modern historians is also the darkest. The 9th Legion was ambushed. Not an open battle where Roman military discipline and formation fighting could save them, but in the forests, in the bogs, in the killing ground that the Caledonians knew like the lines on their own hands. Think about what an ambush means for a Roman legion. Roman military tactics were built around open field formation fighting. The testudo, the pilum throw followed by sword engagement. Coordinated unit movements executed with mechanical precision. In an open field against any army in the ancient world, the Roman legion was essentially unbeatable. But in a dense forest, formation fighting is impossible. The testudo is useless against warriors in the trees above you. The pilum throw is useless when you cannot see your enemy until they are 5 feet away. Coordinated unit movement is impossible when you cannot see more than 10 feet in any direction. The Caledonians knew this. They had watched Rome fight for decades. They had studied Roman tactics. They had identified the one environment where Roman military genius became Roman military weakness. And they chose that environment deliberately. The ambush almost certainly began at dawn. The 9th Legion marching in column through dense forest. 5,000 men stretched over miles of narrow forest track. Unable to form their battle lines, unable to deploy their advantages. And from the trees above, and the undergrowth below, and the fog around them, the Caledonians came. Not in a single frontal assault that Roman discipline could have repelled, but in dozens of simultaneous attacks along the entire length of the column. Striking, vanishing, striking again, from every direction, from no direction, from the trees, from the bog, from the fog itself. The Roman soldiers at the front of the column had no idea what was happening to the soldiers at the rear. The soldiers at the rear had no idea what was happening to the soldiers at the front. Communication broke down. Command structure collapsed, and 5,000 elite soldiers who had never broken in open battle. We will never know exactly how many survived. The answer is probably very few. And those few, perhaps wounded, perhaps captured, perhaps simply lost in the vast dark forest of Caledonia, never made it back to tell Rome what had happened, because the Caledonians made sure of it. When Rome finally understood the scale of what had happened, it faced a choice: acknowledge the destruction of one of its oldest legions, admit that 5,000 elite soldiers had been annihilated by painted warriors in a northern forest, admit that Caledonia was unconquerable, or erase the evidence, strike the 9th Legion from the records, pretend it never happened, move on. Rome chose silence, and Rome's silence lasted almost 2,000 years, until modern archaeology began to ask the questions that Rome refused to answer. The Emperor Hadrian visited Britain in 122 AD. Shortly after his visit, construction began on what we now call Hadrian's Wall, a massive stone barrier stretching 73 miles across the entire width of northern Britain from coast to coast. The official reason given was to control movement between Roman Britain and Caledonia, to manage trade, to regulate immigration, to mark the edge of the empire. But walls tell a different story than the official reasons given for them. You don't build a wall 73 miles long across an entire country to manage trade. You build a wall 73 miles long because something on the other side terrifies you. Because you have tried to conquer what lies beyond that wall, and you have failed. Because 5,000 of your finest soldiers marched into the darkness beyond that wall, and the darkness kept them. Hadrian's Wall was not a border marker. It was an admission. Rome had reached its limit. Caledonia had won. The 9th Legion had paid the price for Rome discovering that limit. And Rome built a wall to make sure no one ever had to discover it again. The forests of Caledonia are still there. Still dark, still deep, still ancient. And somewhere beneath the soil of what is now Scotland, the remains of 5,000 Roman soldiers lie undiscovered. Their eagle lost, their names erased, their story buried under 2,000 years of deliberate silence. But now you have heard it. History is written by the winners. But the forests remember everything. This is Unheard History. Subscribe, because the next story we tell, the darkness goes even deeper.